Do you know, there's one verse in the Qur'an that shakes the heavens, protects you from every form of evil, and opens the doors of divine transformation. That verse is Ayat al-Kursi, the throne verse. Most people recite it without realizing its hidden powers. But if you truly understand it, it can change the way you see life, fear, and faith itself. Stay till the end. Because once you know the three hidden powers of Ayat al-Kursi, you'll never sleep, pray, or live the same way again. Ayat al-Kursi, known as the verse of the throne, Surah Al-Baqarah 2:25-5, is one of the most powerful verses in the Qur'an, a divine shield revealed to protect believers from all harm. The Prophet Muhammad described it as a verse that holds immense spiritual force, saying, "Whoever recites Ayat al-Kursi after every obligatory prayer, nothing stands between him and paradise except death." An-Nasa'i. This verse declares the absolute sovereignty and control of Allah over the heavens and the earth. His Kursi extends over the heavens and the earth, and their preservation does not tire him. It reminds us that every soul, every moment, every breath is under his protection. When recited with conviction, Ayat al-Kursi becomes a spiritual fortress that no evil can penetrate. It is protection not only from physical harm, but also from the unseen dangers, the whispers of shaitan, envy, black magic, and fear. In a hadith, the Prophet said that when a person recites Ayat al-Kursi before sleeping, Allah appoints a guardian over them, and no devil approaches until dawn. Bukhari. This divine shield operates on both the seen and unseen levels. Spiritually, it purifies the heart and strengthens the believer's connection with Allah. Mentally, it instills peace and courage, reminding one that no harm can touch them except by Allah's will. In a world filled with anxiety, envy, and uncertainty, Ayat al-Kursi offers absolute reassurance that Allah is ever living, ever watchful, and nothing escapes His knowledge. By reciting it regularly, especially after prayers and before sleep, the believer lives within a circle of divine security, a constant reminder that no force of evil can overpower the one who is guarded by the Creator Himself. Ayat al-Kursi is not only a verse of protection, it is a profound declaration of Allah's majesty, knowledge, and absolute authority over all that exists. Every word of this verse deepens a believer's understanding of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, strengthening faith and transforming the heart into one filled with certainty and peace. The verse begins with, "Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence." These words remind the believer that every heartbeat, every breath, and every provision comes from Allah alone. By reflecting on this truth, the soul finds clarity, realizing that no human, power, or event holds control over destiny. Only Allah does. Reciting Ayat al-Kursi consistently purifies the heart from spiritual doubts, fear, and attachment to worldly means. It reorients the believer's focus toward the divine, away from anxiety, and toward trust, tawakkul. As faith deepens, the believer begins to see challenges as opportunities to draw closer to Allah rather than reasons for despair. In moments of hardship, reciting this verse becomes a spiritual anchor, reaffirming that Allah's knowledge encompasses everything, the visible and the unseen, the present and the future. This realization brings humility, reminding us that we are never alone. Allah is fully aware of every secret within our hearts. When one reflects on Ayat al-Kursi's meaning during prayer, before sleep, or in times of distress, the connection with Allah becomes personal and powerful. It transforms worship into love and remembrance into presence. Through this verse, a believer learns that true strength and peace come from surrendering to Allah, trusting His wisdom, and recognizing His constant presence, a bond that no trial or darkness can ever break. You said, it is a spiritual key that unlocks Barakah, divine blessings, and brings deep inner peace to the believer's heart. When recited with reflection and sincerity, it aligns the soul with Allah's mercy and divine order, opening unseen doors of tranquility, ease, and abundance. Barakah is not just about wealth or material gain, it is about contentment, peace, and the quiet assurance that Allah is in control. Ayat al-Kursi cultivates this mindset by reminding the believer of Allah's absolute authority and sustaining power. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth, and their preservation does not tire him. These words comfort the heart, teaching that Allah's care and protection are limitless, encompassing every aspect of life. When Ayat al-Kursi is recited regularly, especially after every obligatory prayer as the Prophet advised, it becomes a shield that purifies the home and heart from negativity. The mind becomes calmer, decisions become wiser, and one's life naturally attracts barakah, because remembrance of Allah brings serenity and divine favor. Spiritually, this verse also restores balance in an age of stress and uncertainty. It pulls the believer away from the chaos of the world and centers the heart on Allah's unchanging presence. That awareness that Allah never sleeps nor forgets silences fear and replaces it with faith. In truth, inner peace is the result of surrender, and Ayat al-Kursi teaches that surrender beautifully. Through regular recitation and reflection, the believer learns to let go of control, embrace gratitude, and trust in Allah's perfect plan. And in doing so, discovers that barakah is not something found outside, but something awakened within. Ayat al-Kursi is one of the most powerful verses in the Qur'an because it directly addresses the believer's greatest enemy, fear. Fear of the unknown, of harm, of darkness, and of the unseen all dissolve under the light of this divine verse. The Prophet Muhammad said that whoever recites Ayat al-Kursi before sleeping, Allah will protect him and no devil will come near him until morning. This statement reveals that Ayat al-Kursi is not just a prayer, it is a spiritual armor that guards the heart, mind, and home from unseen harm. The verse reminds us that Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. These words bring assurance that Allah is awake and watching when the world sleeps, that His light never dims and His protection never weakens. When fear tries to creep into the heart, Ayat al-Kursi reaffirms that darkness has no power where Allah's light is remembered. Reciting this verse fills the environment with divine energy that repels negative forces and whispers of shaitan. It teaches that no matter how strong the fear or how deep the darkness, Allah's presence is stronger and His protection is absolute. For those who struggle with anxiety, nightmares, or loneliness, Ayat al-Kursi is a source of healing and courage. Spiritually, it replaces fear with faith, reminding the believer that every shadow fades in the presence of divine light. It strengthens tawakkul, trust in Allah, and transforms vulnerability into spiritual confidence. Through consistent recitation, a person learns to live without fear because they know that the one who never sleeps is watching over them. Truly, Ayat al-Kursi is the believer's light against every darkness. It is a gateway to deep spiritual transformation and awakening. Contained within its majestic words is a reminder of Allah's limitless power, knowledge, and authority over the heavens and the earth. When a believer reflects on this verse with sincerity, it reshapes the heart, purifies the soul, and awakens the spirit to divine reality. The verse declares, His Kursi extends over the heavens and the earth, and their preservation tires Him not. These words invite the believer to realize the vastness of Allah's control and the smallness of worldly worries. True transformation begins when one stops seeing life through the lens of fear or doubt and begins to trust completely in Allah's decree. Ayat al-Kursi shifts the believer from a state of anxiety to a state of spiritual surrender, where the soul finds peace in submission. Reciting it daily opens a person's spiritual perception, it clears the heart from heedlessness and strengthens one's connection with the unseen. It teaches mindfulness of Allah, taqwa, reminding that every heartbeat, every breath, and every blessing comes from His will. Through this awareness, life itself becomes a form of worship, and challenges turn into opportunities for spiritual growth. The transformation inspired by Ayat al-Kursi is not only internal, it changes how one speaks, acts, and sees the world. A person filled with divine awareness radiates calm, compassion, and wisdom. In essence, this verse serves as a bridge between the worldly and the divine, awakening the believer to a higher level of consciousness where Allah's presence is felt in every moment. Truly, Ayat al-Kursi is a light that guides the soul toward an awakening and everlasting peace.